Welcome to Crime Crazy, the weekly true crime podcast with Erin Pluim and
Diana Seacon
and
Ashley Foster.
Woohoo! Where we prove
that we know nothing about our legal system.
And other things.
So, different format. Diana's going to grab the microphone.
Slightly different format. We have a special guest today.
Oh, that's my cue.
We are both looking at her expectantly.
Like she might know what she would like to say next.
Perhaps.
What do I say? What should I say? Hi, everyone. It's my first time. Be gentle.
Long time listener, first time guest on podcast?
Yes. 100% first time.
Okay, so we are doing a very special episode. No, don't look at my notes.
I want to see
No.
Diana has printed our logo on each page of her printed and bound notes in her labeled notebook. It has a tab that says this week. There are photos. Oh my God. Okay. There are links. She's got a whole references section in the middle of this story. This is the one that she just has prepared on the fly.
I just saw a glimpse of that mugshot and I'm already excited. I don't know where this is going, but I love it.
So as I was saying, this is a very special episode because it is our first episode where both Erin and I live in Minnesota!
Woo!
Yay!
I may still be slightly in a state of shock. I'm not sure what I've done. It's going to get cold.
Not for a good 2-3 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. You got till about Saturdays.
We know. Right about the time I get home. So we are recording from Erin's new house in the western suburbs of Minneapolis. I don't know if you want to actually say the town or not.
I guess I don't care. We always say yours.
I guess, yeah, everybody knows where I live now. We are in beautiful Plymouth, Minnesota.
Woo!
And so I actually wanted to talk a little bit about Plymouth, Minnesota today.
I don't know if I like where this is going, Diana. Is that what's in your notebook?
Partially.
Is Plymouth? Yeah. Oh, great. I'm going to find out about
She was ready.
like my neighbor or something.
So since I knew we were going to be recording while Ashley's here and recording very soon after you moved to our fair city, I wanted to find a story to tell about Plymouth. Unfortunately, Plymouth is stupidly safe.
Yes.
There is nothing that goes on here. So let me give you some fun facts about your new hometown. Plymouth, Minnesota, has a population a little over 77,000 people, which is really big. I had no idea it was that big.
Yeah, that's impressive.
It's really big. So Roseville, where I live, has about 35,000 people.
Oh.
Yeah. Plymouth, Minnesota, is safer than 51% of all United States cities, which when you hear the next few facts, makes me think that number is wrong.
I have to stop you for a second because I have a question. A minute ago, you said, do you want to tell people where you are? But you prepared an entire page of facts about Plymouth. What if I had said, you know what, I really don't? Then what would we have done on this episode?
I would have tried really hard not to say Plymouth.
Yeah.
There are only, let's throw this out to the audience. How many registered sex offenders do you think there are in Plymouth, Minnesota?
136.
No.
42.
No.
3?
Closer. If this were prices
I won.
right, you would have totally won.
I won.
5.
Oh, damn. I
There are
really won.
Yeah. There
I'm
are
on the
5
showcase.
registered sex offenders living in Plymouth.
5.
Why?
No, I said 5.
Because they gotta live somewhere.
In disbelief.
Oh, yeah, no. The annual number of crimes average is 1,081, 48 of which are violent.
The other thousands are just snowmobile theft or what? Only between the winter
Kind
months.
of. Property crimes.
Yes, exactly. Moose poaching. What do you have here, moose? What do you have?
No, we don't. Not in the city.
What?
Those are up north.
Oh, damn. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. Snow means moose to me. I don't know why.
We have turkeys.
Oh.
Yeah, we've got wild turkeys.
Bless their hearts.
That's what my landlord said. I was like, okay, so what animals am I going to see here? Because he was talking about the chipmunks in the shed. And I was like, so are there deer? Like, we always had deer in our yard. Yeah, there are deer. It's like, what about bears? He was like, no, not in the city. He goes, we have turkeys. Like, apparently that's all they've got here.
I don't know if you've ever noticed, but on the passenger side door on my car, there are peck marks because those turkeys are fuckers.
He tried to tell me they were safe.
I mean, they're relatively safe, although I did see one of them chase a small child down the sidewalk once.
Jesus.
And they pecked my car. But they're probably bad eating, so, Okay, so your chances of becoming a victim of violent crime in Plymouth is 1 in 1,609.
So 1 per turkey.
Yes.
You have a human to turkey.
Human to turkey ratio.
Attacked by a turkey.
Is that violent? I suppose that would be violent
That
crime,
would be
isn't it?
They pegged your car. Like, they have no
But that's
limits.
property crime.
Which is what
They pecked my car. If they had pecked my person, or if we were reporting on that small child who was getting chased by the turkey, then that's violent crime. Because that turkey was like the size of that kid. They're fucking big. They are much bigger than you think they are going to be. Okay, so anyway, so your chances of being a victim of violent crime in Plymouth are 1 in 1,609. In comparison, your chances of being a victim of violent crime in Minnesota are 1 in 412. Your chances of being a victim of violent crime in the United States as a whole is 1 in 250.
Cool.
Oh, wow.
Your chances of being a victim of property crime in Plymouth is 1 in 75, compared to 1 in 47 in Minnesota and 1 in 40 in the U.S. So some of the crimes I was able to find in Plymouth. You ready? There were some grass fires where arson was suspected.
I don't know why I laughed. I think I was still thinking about the turkeys. They have little matches, and they're like, we're getting fuck you guys. Oh, can you cuss on here? Okay.
Have we met?
Fuck you guys. That's my turkey voice.
Some kids were firing some things at cars. There were several cases of vandalism in city parks. And a guy in a van asked a kid to get into the van, but the kid didn't.
Well.
So I guess you're not going to end up on next week's episode.
Yes. All right. Well, that is our
Win.
one rule. But Diana, I'm just really concerned about whether or not you're going to work out on this podcast, because I feel a little bit.
I don't work out in general.
I feel a little bit like every time you talk, I learn something.
Oh, shit.
It's a major tenet of this entire show is we don't do that.
How about if I just tell you a good story instead?
Yes.
Yes, go.
All right. We have a new friend. His name is John David Martinez.
If he is this dude, we are not friends.
Only for as long as it takes to tell me this story, because it's a pretty good one.
Okay.
So John David Martinez is 68 years old. He had been having kind of a rough time.
Yes, that mugshot is quite rough.
As is evident from his Rasputin-like mugshot.
Rasputin.
He and his wife Layla were in pretty serious debt. They had been evicted from their home. They were living in a Ramada Inn in Denver, Colorado.
Where did you get access to my biography? I'm confused.
Never mind whatever I was going to say. Here, you just take this
I don't understand how you know me so well. What the...
You know, when I was looking at this and I was like, they were living in a Ramada Inn, I'm like, that's got to be like $70 a night.
That's not low living. That's
No,
way
like,
up there.
This isn't the Motel 6.
Somebody else is washing their shoes.
Exactly.
I mean, maybe.
Maybe.
I think that is for a different podcast. So on Tuesday, July 22nd, 2014, while his wife was still sleeping at aforementioned Ramada Inn, John got up, left his wife sleeping, went to the Wells Fargo Bank on West 38th Street, right when it
That was
opened.
his first mistake. Good Lord, Wells Fargo. All right, go.
I don't truck with Wells Fargo. So we went over right when it opened. First thing in the morning, getting shit done right away, right?
Go get her.
GSD. So a female teller greeted him, to which he replied, "This is a robbery. I'd like to have the money."
Oh, how polite.
From Minnesota?
That is unknown. He handed the teller a zipper bag, like one of those, like we've all worked retail, right? The money, the bag, you put the money in.
A little pouch.
At the end of the
pouch.
night. So she filled it up with cash, and then he instructed her to give it to the next teller. And she also filled it with cash, and then he said, "That's enough."
Oh,
He doesn't want to be greedy.
It wasn't excessive. No.
Right. No, just a little bit.
Where's the crime here? What's happening?
So he then went back out to his car, drove back to the Ramada Inn, and here's the part out of this whole story I cannot figure out. He left all the money in the car.
That is just irresponsible.
Right? What the hell?
Doesn't he know there are criminals out
Is this man who just robbed a bank unaware that there are criminals out there?
I mean, someone could steal his money. Like, what's
Right. When you leave that stuff in the car, like somebody's going to... Did he lock it? Was there an alarm system? Did he hide it under the seat? Anything? Anyway, he went back inside and he told his wife that he'd borrowed some money. Not that he'd robbed a bank. But did decide to stay in the hotel room for the rest of the day.
Of course.
I mean, they have cable.
Yeah.
So it took Denver police less than 5 hours to track down John David Martinez. How? How is it that it took them less than five hours?
I feel like 5 hours is a long time. Wait a minute.
They don't know who he is, right? Because he didn't introduce himself. So they have like, I don't know, video or a description,
guess.
or and then they have to find him at the Ramada Inn.
There's a lot of those. Yeah. Okay,
Well, it's also
I
not his
see.
address. Yeah, how is this?
Oh, that's okay. What's the twist? What are we doing?
First of all, he drove a silver Honda Accord to rob the bank. This was his car. It was registered in his name.
Oh.
From this, since there were closed caption television on the parking lot of the Wells Fargo, what with it being a bank and all, the police were able to pull driver's license pictures, and they showed them to the tellers. So they had his picture and then some dummy pictures, and both of the tellers identified his driver's license pictures, the guy who'd been in to rob the bank. They also had some stills from the CCTV that they could compare to that driver's license photo.
I mean, from what I can see, it doesn't seem like he would be easy to mix up with anybody else.
True. But there's more.
Oh, no.
He was also wearing
Oh.
a black t-shirt
Classic.
with his name on it. Yes.
Okay, go.
So at about 2 p.m., Denver police located the silver Honda Accord registered to this guy at the Ramada Inn. And the motel manager told police that John and his wife were located in room 142.
What a snitch.
Right?
Damn.
Guess I'm not going to get it up to any nefarious shit when I'm out of town. They're gonna turn right over on me. So police and FBI agents went up to the room and arrested him. So while he's being transported to the FBI Rocky Mountain Safe Streets Task Force headquarters,
God.
Say that 5 times.
I don't think I could. The detective that was driving received a call from his supervisor on his cell phone, and because he was driving, he answered with the hands-free feature. But he's got, like, this dude in the back. So his supervisor calls, and he says to his supervisor, like, hey, I'm driving, I'm using the hands-free, I'm going to call you back when, like, I'm not on speakerphone with the suspect in the back of my car. And so he hangs up, and then John said to the detective that was driving, oh, he probably wants to tell you that he found the money. And the detective said he was confused, and he looked back at John in the back seat, and John said that I took from the bank this morning.
Oh my God. Wait. What did they pick him up for?
Yeah, like...
Was this a surprise, or was this just a spontaneous confession?
Well, they hadn't found the money yet. He didn't think, because it was in the car, remember?
Right, okay.
So no, he was on board with telling them what he did. They went to this task force headquarters. He totally waived his right to remain silent. He was booked into a Denver jail and was charged with felony robbery involving $20,000 or more. Also, he's got some priors. According to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, he was previously arrested for assault with a deadly weapon, forgery, criminal impersonation, DUI hit and run, and resisting arrest.
And Sense has found his chill, apparently.
Yeah, like...
I was not able to find out whether or not he was convicted or where he ended up, but I'm going to go ahead and guess prison.
I feel like that's a pretty good bet. Also, if you hadn't read that list of priors, I might have been a little sad about that.
Yeah, I was really sad.
Kind of sweet.
I want to know more about felony impersonation.
Right? Well, that was the time that he walked into the bank and he was like, I'm Joe. Give me all of your money, please.
I would like the money, please. So I couldn't come up with a good Plymouth true crime story, but I'm hoping that this like heals that wound a little bit.
Well, it certainly does. Also, based on the several chapters of the Minnesotan survival guides that you have given me, I'm fairly certain he fits right in.
You betcha.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We don't all sound like we're from Fargo.
Unfortunately.
I told you, that is an Iron Range accent. You got to go up north for that.
Or Goldie's Locker Room in the... Where was that place?
Ridgedale?
In the Ridgedale Mall. Check them
Ridgedale
out.
Mall in Minnetonka, Minnesota. One of the Dales here in the Twin Cities. Fun fact for you, new Twin Cities resident. Southdale Mall in Edina, my hometown. The very first indoor mall in the world.
I mean, it would have to be.
It's only built in the 50s.
Well, no, but I mean, it would have to be indoors.
Well, I guess until then they weren't.
What's an outlet? What's an outdoor mall?
Like one that's not enclosed. I suppose like a strip
but
mall or like outlet.
What about weather? Are we not concerned here?
So, like, Short Pump?
What?
Short Pump? You never go up to Short Pump?
I know. I've heard of that.
Oh, it's an outdoor mall.
Is that Richmond?
Oh my god!
Yeah, like-
yeah, it's up in Richmond. Yeah,
I've heard of
it's in
that.
Richmond. It's not porn, Diana. Just calm down.
Yeah, calm-
You're
just
sitting
cool
way
your jets,
close on
Diana.
this couch
Jesus
to be
Christ.
talking about porn.
Your dog is snuggled way up to me. Like there is not a lot of room on this couch. All right, so we will be back in
An undisclosed amount of time.
From an undisclosed location.
Also true.
With a full episode of Crime Crazy. So if you have enjoyed this, please rate and review us on iTunes. That helps new listeners find us. Also, we have lots of wonderful listeners, but so few reviews. So please do leave us a review. If you even kind of like us, that'd be cool. We do give shout outs.
If you don't like us, just, do something else for a little while.
Yeah, scrolling by. We do give shout outs to all reviews, even when they are not 5 stars, although we enjoy the 5 stars. They make us
Very much.
They make us feel all happy inside. Please join our Facebook group. That's starting to get pretty active and awesome.
Yes.
Follow us on Twitter at Crime Crazy Pod. Follow us on Instagram at Crime Crazy Pod. You can email us at crimecrazypodcast@gmail.com. You can support us on Patreon.
Only awesome people do that, so...
I'm a supporter on Patreon.
And awesome people do that, so... I am also a supporter on Patreon.
That seems a little redundant.
Same?
So you can find us on Patreon if you search for Crime Crazy. We have got some exciting stuff that we would like to do. We have some guest stars that I just realized I have forgotten to tell Erin about. So we've got some cool stuff coming up for you. But some of the things that we are doing with Patreon, we need to upgrade our equipment so that we can bring you more guest appearances.
So that you don't have to wait while Diana and I pass one microphone back and forth.
Yes, that too. Also, if you would like to follow us on social media, I am at Diana_Seacon on Twitter.
And I have the other impossible to spell last name. I am at Erin Pluim on Twitter.
And I promise that I will tweet more than once in 4 years.
I might occasionally log out of the Crime Crazy account long enough to check my own Twitter account.
I went through such a rigmarole to get back into my Twitter. I am pretty sure that I have gotten into my bank account with less fuss than I was able to get into my own Twitter account. And then I deleted all my old tweets because they sucked.
Oh, you got something to hide?
I mean, it was mostly I work here, so should you. Yeah. Yeah, it was super lame. But then I posted something about my kid throwing up.
I think that's the story you were just telling us in the other room. Ashley, do you need any followers on any social media? Ashley doesn't like technology.
I live off the grid.
Do you live in a cabin in the woods off the grid?
Ramada Inn off the grid.
Actually.
Don't talk to the desk clerk.
You're paying cash, right?
So follow us on all the social medias, join the conversation on our Facebook group, and we will see you in a week or so. Until then.
Ashley, do you have any advice for anyone that you would like to give them before we leave? She is staring blankly at us there's probably a right answer to this.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
Anything. Because it's such common sense. She doesn't feel it even needs to be said.
No.
But whatever you do,
don't end up on next week's episode.